Let go and surrender. Don't sweat the small stuff. Choose happiness and be your authentic self. The self-help and healing paradigm is so funny to me with these sound bites and platitudes because they act as if doing these things is something that we just decide or that we can make happen by force of will. I remember in 2010 turning to a guy in Al-Anon where they have tons of these slogans, right? One of which is let go and let God. And earnestly asking him because I wanted to know, I wanted to get out of my suffering. So I turned to him and I said, hey, what does let go and let God mean? And how do you do that? And to his credit, he looked at me and he said, you know, honestly, I don't really know. It's just something that they say in here. Now, if somebody had said to me, you actually can't let go and let God, it's impossible, I would have been like, yeah, okay, that matches my experience. Tell me more. So here we go, ready? If you have emotional repression in place in your body, you can't let go and surrender. You will sweat the small stuff along with the big stuff. You will always choose unhappiness, and there's no way that you can be your authentic self. To tell me otherwise in repression would be like telling someone with two freshly broken legs that if they just believe in themselves enough, they can walk, you know? It's just not gonna happen. Now, I wanna mainly focus on that one slogan, just be your authentic self, because it's so connected to emotional repression. The main reason that being yourself when you've got buried emotions and repression in the body is an impossibility is because the self that you're trying to be is a facade and a protective measure. When we hold back what's true, we're forced to identify with what's false. I'm an anger repressor. So instead of realizing that I had buried anger in my body and processing it, I lived for almost 40 years as a friendly, good, quiet, sensitive person. That's how I experienced myself consciously. So naturally, I became identified with it. That was Dan. You know, I was being myself. And so I fooled myself and pulled it off for probably 25, 30 years. But then, as Carl Jung says, unexpressed emotions will never die. They're buried alive and they will come forth later in uglier ways. Things started to happen. I started feeling depressed and anxious, and I martyred myself, and I noticed I was self-sabotaging and there was addictive impulses, right? What I didn't realize at first was that this was 30 years of repressed anger in the body coming up to say, hi, we're still down here, and it's sort of becoming a pressure cooker, so, you know, something has to happen. But remember, I only saw the symptoms on the surface like depression, anxiety, addiction, self-sabotage. So I tried therapy, I tried 12-step, I tried religion, I tried non-duality, I tried all different kinds of things to try to solve the surface level problems. And I got some relief there, but I unfortunately also got a lot of concepts, beliefs, and identities. And the problem with that is that concepts, beliefs, and identities are the #1 way that people stay repressed and out of the body. Think of it this way. If I believe that I'm depressed, I believe that I'll be okay if I take medication or do therapy. If I believe that I'm a sinner, I believe that I'll be okay if I accept Christ into my life and get saved. If I believe that I'm an addict, I believe that if I stop drinking and using, I'll be okay. What's the other one? If I believe, that I'm asleep or unconscious, I believe that waking up and becoming enlightened, that'll make me okay. See, we believe all of these things. It's a distraction from the fact that we have buried, repressed emotions in the body that's driving our suffering. It's pulling my attention away from the root of suffering. So back to authenticity and being yourself. How do you do it? You dig it up. You unbury what's buried. You make the unconscious conscious. You come out of repression. When we do so, our suffering ends. And it's not that we won't have existential pain in our lives, it's that we won't suffer about our pain. See? When you don't mind what you feel, aka when you're out of repression, you don't suffer. This is how to be yourself. Right? This is the how. This is the how that I was asking the guy about in Al-Anon when I said, how do you let go and let God, right? I sometimes tell the people that I'm doing repression work with, you've been trusting your suffering and your repression for so long that you now believe that it's who you are. You're identified with it, right? So stop trusting your suffering, right? Start questioning it. If you'd like to learn how, visit repressiontest.com.